Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, The Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
Now we're in.
Greetings, everyone.
Hey.
So today we're going to actually take some questions from the audience, things that people have submitted over the, the past couple of months or whatever. And we're going to have our friend Zari read some of these questions to us, and we'll get to as many questions as we can.
Okay.
And let's roll with it, Zari.
How would you teach a child about forgiveness?
That's a good one. Well, since I got a daughter, I would say, if anything, remembering that when you're holding on to negative energy, that it's not really going to help you in the long run. So if anything, the best thing to do is forgive and just don't hold no grudge, if anything, because I know when you hold a grudge, it's not going to take you nowhere.
I guess I would tell a child one of Rodney's favorite sayings, it didn't happen to you, it happened for you. And so to remind yourself of that, and when you're ready to forgive, then you should think about that as you're walking into the conversation. But don't feel like you have to do it because you need to. Do it because you want to as well. Because as long as you're doing something that you truly desire, then it's going to be in alignment with you, and you'll feel better, and you'll be able to grow and see other things because of it. So I would just say it happened to you, not for you. For you, not to you.
Now, how you gonna take Rodney's stuff? No,
Like, you see how you listen?
You taught me well.
So I think, and I guess it depends on the age of the kid, like how I would try to explain this, because I feel like this might be, it might be harder for adults to understand than for children, because we have a certain way of thinking already. But I would really say that there's nothing to forgive. Kind of like what Teron was saying that he stole from Rodney. Was everything is happening. It's happening for you, not to you. And so, like, to me, everything in the world is perfect. There's nothing has ever gone wrong. Every single person that we encounter is another divine being. So they're not doing anything to harm you. There's really no such thing as harm. And so when we feel like somebody did something to us, we have our blinders on. We're covered with our veils. We're not really seeing the whole of who we are. We're not seeing the whole of who they are. So if I'm holding you hostage, I'm holding you in anger because of something you did, then that's just a recognition that I don't know who I am in that moment. I'm not realizing that I'm the creator. I'm a divine being, and so are you. So from that energy, everything's perfect. You didn't do anything wrong. Whatever you did is something to help me move to my next station. And I like to think of it like we came here together. Like we decided together that when we come here, you're going to test me a little bit because you're going to help me to grow, to evolve. And I feel like that's what we're here for. Like, as our divine beings are coming into this physical place to find ways to expand the whole entire universe. And as each one of us grows in different ways, we are expanding the totality of the universe. So no one has ever come in this same exact energy that I'm coming in now, and experiencing the same exact things. And so I'm here experiencing these things to expand the totality of us all. So every time someone does something that I could take as an offense, really, if I think about it, I'm going to think about how have they just helped me to step a little bit more into my power. And so I think if I was explaining it to a child, I think I would just say something similar to, you know, you're a divine being. Every person around you is a divine being. Nothing has gone wrong. And every time something feels like it's gone wrong, that's just that person helping you to grow and to step into a fuller knowing of who you really are as this divine being.
What practices do you use to combat all the negative news around the world?
I think that is a great question, because I think it's so easy to get caught up in like this is happening or that is happening, this is happening, that is happening. What I started to remind myself is that life is just one big world building game, and every day I get to create my own world. And so when I wake up in the morning, I decide with every decision that I make, what world I want to live in that day. And so what I would say the practice I use to combat that is I do things that make me feel well, and that's going to be the world that I'm living in that day. So when the negative things happen, I might read it, but I'm not feeling it as negative now. I'm kind of seeing it just like how you just said, everything is perfect and everything is happening the way it not should, but the way as it may. And so when I think about like all the negative things happening in the world, I don't see them as negative. I see them as just another part of somebody's world that they're building that day.
Yeah, and I would say something similar, because like I try to not even have it cross my path for real, but you know, we all got friends and things and group chats, whatever, and you see a bunch of stuff. And so for me, I kind of like internalize it in my head as like, okay, that's happening, but that I ain't got nothing to do with that. Like, that's a part of their story, and like basically like that's their story or that's their story. Like, it's not the end all be all. And I also kind of try not to put my focus on things that I perceive as negative.
I would say I'm some similar to what you're saying, but for me, just every day, if I run into a situation and it's something that's negative, I always try to find something good within that situation, because I like to keep my mind focused on positive, you know. So when I do run into something negative, I don't really, you know, it doesn't affect me, you know, because I'm looking more for what's good within this situation that I can look at as something positive, you know.
And for me, my focus is on creating heaven on earth. So in that, the world that I'm creating is beautiful. And so everywhere I look is beautiful.
Right.
And sometimes when I'm seeing something that I'm not perceiving as beautiful, I'm in the realization that that's a reflection of me. And so why am I not emitting something beautiful at this moment? And then I'll kind of check myself, like, what is gonna skew in your head where you're right now not realizing that you are a divine being? And then I flip it back to, I'm a divine being. Everything I see is beautiful. And it's basically what's going on the inside is what you're going to see on the outside. And yeah, it's just beautiful. And when it's not, then like I say, I check myself. And like probably right now in my life, I'm having times where I'm stressed, you know, and so I'm like looking at like, you know, what am I I guess holding on to that I need to release? Why am I creating this stress in my life? And while it seems like it's all of them, you know, like for example, right now in my life, everything is on pause. And I ain't gonna call out because I don't know who's watching, but it's every single project that I'm working on is on pause. And so it seems like this person isn't doing this, that person isn't doing this, this person isn't doing that. But I'm like, what's the common denominator? Arvette. And even though I can't do their work for them, I'm not saying that I can. Like they have to do what it is. But it's my energy that's got everybody on pause.
Because sometimes every day almost, you know, because I'm not perfect, but I always try to, I have to check myself anytime that I feel or my energy is just not where I know it can be at. I have to check myself, come back in and like, all right, get yourself together, Steve. Get your mind right, you know.
When I first started my business, I got to a certain point and felt like I was stuck. And you helped me and gave me a lesson on expansion. Well, I'm at that same spot again, but of course I have higher earnings, but I really feel like I'm like ready to go to the next level. It's like I have a ceiling as far as earning, and it has stayed in the same spot for like the last 2 years. And I was wondering if there's a way for you to maybe like help me expand again. Any tips?
I love that question, honestly. I think it's expansion is one of my favorite things to talk about because I find myself always learning something new every time we have these conversations. But what I would tell that person is I would say take a step back and remind yourself that you are the creator. And so anything that you want, you have access to already. And so I think I don't want to presume, but it sounds like you're creating that gap. And I would say first, let's remove the gap of this is what I want or I'm looking for the next level, and just constantly tell yourself I'm evolving every day in every way, and then you'll eventually see some of those things play out, is what I would say.
For me, I would piggyback off what he said and just say, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on what you don't have, or are you focusing on being stuck? Like, what is it that you want? And that's where your focus should be. And I feel like a lot of times we feel like I ain't got nothing going on right now. Like I'm in the same spot I've been in, and I think we forget that we have the power to create whatever it is we want out of this life. And I think a big key to that, I would say, is putting your focus on what you do want and forgetting what you don't want.
Yeah, I would say focus on what you want, but also with that, let go of the how, you know. And I think sometimes we always worry so much of how things are going to get done, you know, and we sort of lose sight of the main, what the goal really is for us. So I would say those two things, the how and what was the other one I just said?
Focusing on
focusing on what you want.
That's what you were saying about the how, because when we start talking about how, we have already limited the possibilities. And then Rodney had brought up a good point, because even in the question, the person used the word stuck. They used the word ceiling. I can't remember, it seemed like another word they used, but in the very question, they have already
limited.
Like limited themselves, but also that's a visual. You know, like I feel like I have a ceiling. So to feel like that, you probably are visualizing like this. I'm as far as I can go. I'm stuck. Like that's like feeling words. Like I can feel those things, and so as you're feeling into that, then you create more of that. There's a ceiling. Can't go any higher. I'm stuck. This is as high as I can go. So basically, you know what everybody said in terms of basically what everybody say in terms of putting your attention on what you do want and being able to see that in your mind. But also, I want to add to that, like a lot of times, because I remember feeling like I had reached my ceiling, like this is as high as I can go. And you sometimes start thinking of how can I do something different, you know. But and sometimes when you haven't seen bigger,
Right.
it's like if I haven't seen it before, so you know I don't know what it looks like,
Right.
you know. So then it's like getting back to, well, what's the feeling if you had that extra? What's the feeling you're looking for? What do you expect will come from that? And then start feeling that feeling into that feeling. And then the other thing I would say is just to open yourself up, just seeing yourself bigger. You know, just being in that space, because when we see ourselves as this most of the time, then that's all we can do is this.
Yeah.
But if we're walking around feeling into the glory of who we are, things just change. You know, just walking around feeling into the bigness of yourself. So I would say let go of the descriptive words like stuck and ceiling, how, things that limit. Focus on the things that you do want. See yourself bigger. You know, of course, that goes into worthiness and, you know, loving yourself.
Right.
And a lot of times we can only love this so much, you know?
Yeah.
But if we recognize our divinity, how can we not love this? You know, this is just a blessing to be in this body, to have the thoughts that we have. Everything that comes along with being a human is just such a wonderful blessing. When you're looking at it from the space of being a divine being, from the space of spirit. So I would just say all those things. Like expansion involves loving yourself more, seeing in your mind what it is that you want more of, feeling into what you want more of, and just kind of letting go of the other stuff.
Now, what is the first step to changing your life?
I think the first step would be just understanding your power. Like just understanding that you more than anything that is outside of you. You're more than that, and you connected to the universe. And I would say that just understanding your power would be the first step for me.
I like that. I guess I was about to say, yeah, just knowing not to limit your desires, but that kind of feels like the same thing. So I guess I would also say, you know, to love yourself, but genuinely pour in and love yourself, because it becomes a lot easier to get the things that you desire when you are really recognizing that you are already connected to those things. So definitely self-love and knowing that you're already connected to it.
Okay. I would say I agree with that, you know, going off of what you guys said, but add on to that, having an awareness of what it is that you really want to change within yourself. You know, I think everybody wants to change, but they don't really have the awareness of knowing exactly what, you know, what it is that they really want to change, or how to go about the change. So I would say having an awareness and just going forward, and don't beat yourself up. You know, be gentle with yourself.
I want to add on to what I said too. When I was talking about understanding your power, also I want to add on that is, I remember when I first understood my power as far as like being a creative, like just realizing that, oh, like I have the choice to do this like right now, like empowering the choices you have, because at any moment we had the power to change our whole story, you know. And so I just wanted to add that on to it.
And so I would say everything you guys said. I always have a little bit of a problem with the word when people say I want to change, because I'm like, why? I mean, like, just the question of how can I change myself, it makes it sound like something's wrong with it,
Right.
you know? And so I would not want to think about something's wrong with me. Like I wouldn't, so I would not, that would not be the way I would approach it, like to change. Like I would be like, what more, what do you want more of?
Yeah,
you know,
that sounds better.
Because you already are it now. You're everything right now. So what parts of everything do you want to see more of? And if you want to see, well, I don't know, like when people say I want to change, like specifically, what do you want to see more of? So you want probably more freedom, probably more abundance, probably more love, probably more fun.
Right.
What's some other stuff people want more of? More reasons to laugh,
more happiness,
more adventure, more happiness. So rather than me saying, oh, I gotta change, you know, that just sounds, I don't know, sounds some kind of way. But if I'm saying, okay, I would love more love in my life, I would love more adventure, I would love more miracles, I would love more joy, and then kind of just identifying those things. I think I would do, identify those things. It's already in your life. Where is it already in your life? And then feel into that more. You can have it more by envisioning it, by imagining it. And then the more you imagine it, the more it's going to come into your physical reality.
Now, there are so many alternative healing techniques. How do I know which one to try?
Thinking about that, when I first just started to heal myself along my journey, I hadn't seen so many ways to go about trying to heal myself and things that work for other people, but I listened to all the advice that everybody was given, but I had to really see what was right for me, because I realized that everything that works for somebody else doesn't work for me, you know, and I'm not trying to be like nobody else. I just want to be myself. So what worked for me, for my healing, just loving myself and knowing that I'm already everything that I need to be. But I had to realize that first, and then along my journey, other things helped me out along the way. But realizing that number one, you're already it.
I like this question because y'all know I have dabbled in I just do a bunch of random things. Like, so when I hear like all the alternative healings, I think about the different things, like, oh, the time when I went and did the float therapy thing, or the time where I did like the infrared sauna. So what kind of leads me to those things is just whenever I see something and I feel like I'm moved by it, I just get up and I do it. Like, despite what, like, oh, I've never done it before, I don't know anybody done it. Like, I don't even go read the reviews. It's like, okay, if I see that and that feels like any part of me wants to try it, let's just go try it. Like the worst case scenario is I don't enjoy this and I go, not for me. Like, so I definitely just say, don't be afraid to just jump out there and try new things.
Yeah, to me, the question is more so asking like, like, how do I know which ways to get more aligned? Like, that's how I take it. So with that being said, I just feel like what y'all said, like whatever feels good for me. I know for me, I was one, like, once I got the concept of like focusing on, like putting my focus on what I do want, and like, why am I worried about all this stuff that I don't want? Like, just that little switch for me was like eye-opening. So yeah, I would say just what feels good to you, what makes you feel the best.
Yeah, I would just reiterate all of that. And so I think the first thing I want to say is we already have the power within us to heal. And so Rodney made a good point about being in alignment. The thing is, if we are unwell, obviously we're not in alignment, right? And we may not know how to get in alignment at that moment, especially if you're in physical pain. Like, I know when you're in physical pain, sometimes you ain't trying to get, it's hard, it can be a challenge. I can speak for myself. When I'm in physical pain, like a lot of pain, sometimes it's hard for me to get focused on what I do want. All I can feel is this pain right now. So in terms of like alternative modalities for healing, it's not, even though you already have the power to do it, there's nothing wrong with playing with all these things, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's fun. It can be fun. It can be, you know, something you learn from or whatever. So, and I think the main thing is that you believe it. Like, whatever you choose, it's got to be something you like, yeah, I believe this is going to work. Because I feel like anything will work if you believe that it's going to work. So I would just say, you know, like y'all were saying, it's got to feel good to you, probably make you excited to do it. Like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is the key. And if you haven't found anything that's causing you to feel that way, then just make yourself feel that way. Like, you know, and I typically do that. Like, whatever the thing is, if I'm like, I'm gonna try this, I'll read everything possible, everything I can find about it that's gonna support that thing, so that now I believe it, you know, and then I'll do it. So I guess this is all the time we have, but guys, you know what? We love getting questions. So send your questions in. You can send them in on YouTube. You can look us up on Instagram, Facebook, social media. They probably do Twitter. I don't do Twitter. But yeah, we love getting those questions. So ask away. And thank you, Zara, for helping us with those questions. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, this is Arvette.
That's Steve.
Teron.
Run.
Bye, y'all.
Happy birthday, Arvette.